Hey guys, it's Danny. We are in front of my new cloud forest rootstock cabinet right here. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about this cabinet. The purpose of it, you might have seen it in my grow room tour, but I didn't really talk too much about it. I also want to show you and talk about the orchids that I have inside because they are special orchids for me and they're hard to find. So I'm trying to give them, the best conditions that I possibly can. And yeah, just ramble on a little about this whole project here. So let's talk about this little cabinet and then we're gonna look at the orchids inside. This is an Ikea rootstock cabinet, which I have for a few years now, and you might know it from other videos. Do I have a video setting it up? I might. If I do, I'm gonna put it down below in the description. So I used to use this cabinet to shelter, as it were, some of my orchids from thrips, but luckily for me, I fixed my thrips issue this summer using the wonderful spinosad. And I don't actually have thrips issues anymore, not all that bad. So I plan to continue with those treatments. These have become, hence, not so needed, these cabinets. So what can I do with them? And well, I have this account on Instagram that I follow. I absolutely forget the name, but I'll put it down below. It's a grower of carnivorous plants. And even though I don't grow carnivorous plants currently, maybe I will in the future, I get a lot of inspiration from this account, and, from other people who grow other types of plants. They don't need to be orchids to get inspired. So what they had was this cabinet, which, by the way, I removed all of the glass shelving. They had the glass shelving. So they had the plants on each shelf, and on each shelf, they drilled a hole in the back and they added humidifiers, terrarium type humidifiers, just to create a very humid, cloud foresty type of environment. And I thought, well, that's exactly what I should do as well. Now, this is not something new, and you might see stuff on YouTube with people putting a humidifier inside. I didn't want to take that much space up from inside because it's rather a tiny place now that those glass shelves are removed. So what I went for is a terrarium humidifier, which has a hose that you can insert into the terrarium or enclosure, in my case Ikea rootstock cabinet, and you can also set the humidifier to run on a particular schedule. So if you don't want it to run all of the time, which in this type of cabinet is absolutely not needed because it fogs up immediately, you can set it to run for, let's say, 5 minutes every hour. This is how I have it set up. You can set it to run for 5 minutes every 2, 3, 4 hours or whatever, or 10 minutes and so on, or half an hour. There are a few settings that you can choose. And this opened up the possibility of me growing some more finicky orchids. Now, I am brave and I'm trying to grow like the Nelly Eiler or Oncidopsis type of orchids here. I'm pushing it. I mean, these orchids also do like low temperatures, which no matter what I do without a fridge, I cannot do that. So I'm not ready to go there yet. But I can at least try to offer them humidity because this summer was not great for them. I mean, the yellow Nelly Eiler there, she's not doing hot. This Nelly Eiler here, this is the one from the Netherlands, she's not doing hot. So I did manage to give them lower temperatures, if you remember, with that water cooler thing. So that was nice, and indeed it worked. It gave these plants lower temperatures. The problem is the air was very dry, like very, very dry this summer, and especially because I was running the AC more than usual since it was so hot, the air was dry in this room, and I have a funny suspicion that's what was lacking. So this cabinet doesn't really have any means of cooling necessarily, but I do have a fan which runs right under it, which I showed you, which ventilates the whole thing. So I do have air movement. That's why you don't see the glass fogging up. But really, honestly, it's not really cooling much. It just runs some air in the cabinet, and it might be enough. But the humidity, maybe you can see, usually sits at around 70–80%. Sometimes on some days it can go lower depending on the temperature outside or the dryness of the air outside as well. So I sometimes adjust the humidifier and I get a higher humidity. It's a trial and error at the beginning. I'm still at the beginning of this process, but the hope is that this chamber can become a cloud foresty cabinet for some of the orchids which I never actually did very well with, and I would love to do well with, because apart from the Nellies and Ancedopsis and all of these Miltoniopsis hybrids, which historically I struggle with, you know, I'm kind of used to that idea. There is also an orchid that I'm dying to own. I want it so bad in my life. It's an orchid that is hard to find, hard to order, and as it just so happens, hard to maintain healthy in my environment. Let's just meet this orchid, shall we? Let's get this one, which, oh, this one is actually doing much better now, but I'm gonna tell you what the problem is. I'm gonna show you a different one. Meet my Sarcochilus orchids. Some of you might have already recognized them. Sarcochilus are adorable, and I ran out of battery. I don't know where I left off, but I was talking about Sarcochilus. Sarcochilus orchids are Australian native orchids, and they are adorable. They're amazing. They look so whimsical. They're just so nice and dainty with their round little flowers. They don't even look like orchids. And I just discovered I have a thing for Australian orchids. I like Australian dendrobiums, I like Australian orchids, and I also like the Australian accent, which I will never attempt to replicate, but I do love the accent. Sadly though, these orchids are really not available all that much in the EU. Generally speaking, Sarcochilus, not something that I easily find, although I want to have all of them. So I acquired a few months ago 10 Sarcochilus from the only nursery that has them currently, as I see, in Europe. And this is a Kern in Belgium. Now, this orchid nursery doesn't really ship to Cyprus, as always. What I did was I ordered them at my mom's place in Romania, and she then sent them to me in Cyprus. So it's a whole clown fiesta to get my hands on these orchids. They are precious to me. They're not expensive. Each one was like 20 euros or something like that. Sure, more expensive than a Phalaenopsis, but hey, less expensive than a Cattleya or a Vanda, at least in this part of the world. But because they're just so hard to find, and especially the hybrids, which these hybrids are kind of new even to me. I only knew about the species or even primary hybrids, but there are also lots of new hybrids that I've seen produced by Australian hybridizers. I want them so bad. This is the only nursery that has them, and it's the only way that I can get my hands on them. So you can see they're kind of hard for me to get. And you know, it is how it is. I'm used to it at this point. But not only are they hard to get for me, they're also not very forgiving with my environment, as I discovered. This is actually a good example because I switched it up and oh, would you please? Such noisy people. So I repotted these guys, and I also put them here in the higher humidity chamber. Let me show you one that still looks bad. You guys, oh, they look much better than they used to. Come on, let me find one that still looks a little bad. Okay, this one. This is the one that looks the worst, wouldn't you say? No, it's gonna bounce back, don't worry. It's severely dehydrated. The leaves, they're very wrinkly. Well, the new growth looks okay, but even the new growth, you know, they're severely dehydrated. You might say, oh, they don't have roots. There's something wrong with the roots. There's nothing wrong with the roots. Actually, some of them started to grow roots this summer. So if it's not the roots, but they're still losing water, it's the humidity. It's the fact that they do not regulate their breathing, their stomatal openings and stuff, in the way that Cattleyas do. With Cattleyas, I have no issues. With Vandas, no issues. With Phalaenopsis, no issues. With Miltoniopsis, issues, but okay. So that must mean I have an issue not only in acquiring these orchids, but also in the environment for these orchids, and that's unacceptable. I need to do something about it. So I decided to put them here in this humidity chamber, and I think I'm already seeing results. Yes, this looks bad, but this looks this is the worst case that I have. If you looked on any of my Sarcochilus, you would see severe shriveling, and I repotted all of them in a mixture of bark and sphagnum moss. You don't see it because I have a top layer of bark, but inside it's bark and moss. And I would have gone for full moss, but I'm trying to conserve moss. And also these guys, from what I see and from what I read and learn from other more successful growers, they do enjoy a lot of aeration around their root system. So I would try to think about them as a vanda. So even if, yes, I can get away with sphagnum moss and vandas, I'm still, you know, tempted to make the mixture more airy. So that's why I made it more airy, conserved sphagnum moss, everybody's healthy. I wanted to say happy. And I see results already, which is good. When I received these guys, they were potted in chunky bark, which might be great for Belgium climate or nursery environments. It's just not great here. Needless to say, I had a fun time watering these guys in the summertime because no, I did not let them go dry. Yes, I babied them like I babied no other orchid. They're precious to me. They are my most adored, precious orchids because I love them so much, because they're not available in Europe, because they were sent to me by my mom, all of that thing. They are so precious to me, and yes, I babied them. I didn't let them go dry. The dehydration was not because I didn't water them, it was because probably low humidity. So, oh, by the way that I am hanging this pot is with an Ikea peg. It holds it. I mean, this pot is not very heavy and it holds it. If the pot would be very heavy, this would not be a great idea. I might try to glue it maybe in the future if I need to hang other types of pots, but for this pot right now it works out. It's not gonna fall. I don't want to try it too much, to be honest, but it holds on so far. And let's just talk a little bit about this enclosure, right? So as I was saying, it is the rootstock cabinet that I sealed. So here in the front you can see this is some window sealant that I got from Amazon because I cannot find this stuff around here, but the sides, which had very big gaps, very big openings, this is sealed with duct tape. I tried to seal it with this, but it wasn't working very well, so I thought, duct tape, what's the worst that can happen? And it works out pretty great. So I still have some stuff that I would like to seal, maybe around here. I will show you, I will film B-rolls. When the fog comes on, you can see fog being lost through some of these vents, but here I would need to glue maybe window sealant here, you know, the foamy one. That's a great idea, and I think I have. I might do that. So I will probably seal it here as well, down below as well. I don't know how I'm gonna do it down below, but I'll try. So I sealed it. Would you mind? No respect. Much noise. Much noisy. Okay, so I sealed it everywhere that I could with duct tape and this thing. Obviously I cannot put duct tape here because I need to open the door. And it did a pretty good job. Not the best, I still need to work, but it did a good job. This is an Ikea pegboard or something, which I drilled right in the back of the cabinet, which the back of the cabinet is metal, so it was easy to drill and hang in there. These boards come already with the hanging mechanism, so there is a metal bar in the back, which I'll give you close-ups of. That comes with the board itself, provided by Ikea. I don't know if they provide also the screws, but I had some screws. So I used them and I attached them. Also in the back you can see I drilled a hole for the hose of the humidifier, and it looks so bad. I'll have to fix it a little, make it look a little prettier, but I don't care at this point. I'd put duct tape around it. Me and duct tape are becoming good friends. So it doesn't look good, but hey, it's okay, it works. And yeah, that is about it. I still have room on the pegboard for some more orchids. And at the bottom here, I also used some shelves from Ikea, which I forgot the name of, but they have them in the kitchen section and they fit very well here on the sides. And on the bottom, I also placed my Oncidopsis and Nellie Eilers and other orchids which give me headaches, but I still love. But the main, let's say, attraction in this cabinet, the main character is the Sarcochilus, which I want so bad to grow. I watch a YouTube channel called Hello Orchid Lovers, something like that. I'll link you to it down below. A grower in Melbourne has the most spectacular Sarcochilus of life that I have ever seen, and I'm just watching and I'm like drooling, like stars in my eyes. I wish I could have that one day as well. But one thing that I think I discovered about Sarcochilus in my climate is that they hate the dry air. Maybe it's also related to the high temperatures. Maybe, you know, obviously the higher the temperature, the faster the metabolism, the more water they will lose. But I'm very surprised because they are epiphytes. They're epiphytic, they're not terrestrial. I'm surprised they lose so much water and they don't regulate their little stomatons. I'm very surprised. At least I think that's the issue. And being that I repotted them 3 days ago, not more. I repotted them 3 days ago and I put them here 3 days ago. And they're already looking much better. I don't know what other conclusion I can draw because I was watering them sometimes even on a daily basis in that chunky bark situation. I think it was the humidity, you guys. And oh, it turned on finally. Have we been filming for an hour? Oh my goodness. It's running every hour now. Hopefully this video will not be an hour long, but yeah, I kind of just wanted to sit down. I'm literally sitting on a little chair. I wanted to sit down and chat and show you my glorious, completely ruined rootstock cabinet at this point. You know what? It's fine. It's not ruined. These cabinets, I'm never gonna display probably anything like, you know, crystal decorations and stuff. I'm not the type. I'm never gonna display anything in these cabinets ever. So even if I destroy them, I'm okay with that. There will be an interesting issue. We will see if it rusts. I don't know. I mean, that person on Instagram, they use it for a while and somebody asked them, did the cabinet rust? And they said, so far, no. So I'm hoping we will not have rust. We will see. There is a big chance of having some rust, but we don't care. If there is rust, we're gonna paint over it. It's fine. So, okay, that is about it for today. These are currently my crown jewels, my little precious jewels. If you don't know about Sarcochilus, check it out, Google it, watch the videos from the YouTube channel that I'll link down below so you see what I'm talking about. They're amazing. I don't think I've ever wanted to be able to grow an orchid this bad. I mean, apart from the Nelly Eiler, of course. But no, I don't think I've ever had this like crush on an orchid before. That's kind of cute. So yeah, let me know. Do you grow Sarcochilus? What Sarcochilus hybrids do you have? What can you tell me about them? Any tips? I'm all ears. And yeah, for now, I think they're really enjoying this cloud foresty type of situation. They don't necessarily come from cloud forest situations, but from what I understand, yeah, it's a pretty high environment, high moisture environment, I wanted to say, which clearly my room is not. So yeah, we'll see. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope this inspires you, and if you have tips for me with Sarcochilus, let me know. And with that said, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thumbnail time. Whew. Look at all this mist. Very whimsical. Okay, that's enough. Should I add these bloopers, maybe, or behind the scenes stuff? Making thumbnails is always a funny thing for all of us, trust me.